All right, welcome into Prize Picks on 5 here on the 5 Reasons YouTube channel. We tell you at the very beginning how you can get Prize Picks. Go to prizepicks.com, download the app from the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store, depending on your phone. Make sure you're using the code 5. That's FIVE. You get that initial deposit matched up to $100. There are no rollovers. This is free money. They're giving it to you to play. We recommend you put down the $100 at first, but if you just want to put down 20, put down 20, you'll get that matched. All right, we know that things are a little bit slow in the sports world right now. We've been doing some MLB stuff. There is no NBA other than Summer League. So we're going to pivot some here to the NFL. I got David Eversole. You can follow him at David W. Eversole. We're going to go through some of these running back props today. We know a lot of you Dolphin fans. There are no Dolphins on the board currently. Now, some of that may be related to the uncertainty. We don't know if Dalvin Cook's going to end up in Miami. And, of course, Raheem Mostert, Jeff Wilson, Salvin Ahmed, and also Myles Gaskin. They got a lot of backs on the roster. So it would seem that Mostert would be a pretty good play. But, again, if they get Dalvin Cook, he wouldn't be. So it's probably better that he's not on the board. So we're going to go through some of our favorites here as we go forward. We're about 2 weeks away from training camps opening. David, give me your number one pick as you see the board right now.
Well, I'm going to look at Tony Pollard at 10.50.5. He split with Ezekiel Elliott. Obviously, now Elliott's gone. Elliott last year had 231 carries. Tony Pollard had 193 carries for 1,007 yards. Over 4 years, Pollard has never played fewer than 15 games, and he averages 5 yards a carry. So I could see him taking that Zeke load of carries, 230, 240 carries. Maybe his yards per carry might drop a little bit, but I still have him probably around 4.5, 4.6 yards a carry at about 240 carries, which would put him around 1,100 yards this season. I just think he's going to really step into that number one back role. He's been a backfield by committee guy now for the first 4 years of his career. He was almost a 50% split with Elliott last year, so I think he takes on the lion's share of the carries and has a really good season, both catching the ball and obviously running the ball as well. So I love Pollard over 10.50.5.
All right, so I'm going to go in that conference, and this is how on target the Prize Picks projections typically are, which is why you got to be a little creative when you make these selections. Christian McCaffrey last year in 11 games, regular season games, since he joined the 49ers, averaged 50 yards rushing per game. So what do they have him at? 850 yards, which is 50 yards rushing per game. It would be at 17 games. Now, I know most people would say, okay, well, then play an under, because the odds are McCaffrey's going to get nicked up, right? Because that's typically what's happened. So play him under. And I do like to go running backs under. I want to get into that more as we go forward, because first, players get hurt at that position more than any other. And also, if you look at the rushing leaders year to year, it's very rare where more than 5 of the top 10 rushers will be top 10 rushers the next season. It just changes.
McCaffrey was 9th in carries last year too. That was surprising to me. Like, he had a lot of volume.
He had a lot of volume, but here's the thing. I think the volume goes up. And that's why I'm going to go against everything that I typically do, which is play running backs under, assume injury, assume that there are going to be changes at the top of the list. I'm going over because I think they're going to need to rely on him more this season. He's now fully implemented into their program. We don't know what Purdy's health is going to be. So, you don't have, the safety net that you had there last year. So I'm gonna go over on McCaffrey's rushing yards. It might be a situation where I play him rushing and receiving from kind of week to week, and because obviously the receiving yards will be up there, but I'm going to go against what I typically do. I'm going to give you a couple more here, and then I want to pivot to you and just scroll up a little bit because I want to show a couple of ones that I like here. All right, the first one is this. I think we're gonna have a disagreement on Breece Hall. You want to play him over?
Yeah, I do. I think the Aaron Rodgers quotient is going to be a little bit overstated. I think the Jets want to run the football. I think Breece Hall showed that, when he's healthy, he could be very, very dynamic. And 875 yards, to me, seems like a reasonable number for them to get to. when they were in Green Bay, I mean, those teams ran the ball with Aaron
Mhm.
Jones and Dillon. That offense was successful when they were able to run the ball, and Rodgers was able to use play action and more of those type of offensive scenarios rather than just like trying to air it out 40 to 50 times. There's some damn good secondaries in the AFC East. I think it's going to be a little bit bumpier ride for Rodgers on offense versus in Green Bay playing against some defenses like Minnesota, Chicago. Some of
Mhm.
these aren't top tier secondaries. I think Miami's going to throw out a top five defense. Buffalo's defense, we know, especially on the back end, is excellent. New England always has a good pass defense. So I think they're going to lean on Brees Hall, and if he can stay healthy, I think he smashes this number and goes over 1,000 yards. Honestly,
All right, here's why I'm going to disagree with you, someone on this. You mentioned the defenses in the division. I think that's one of the reasons I'd play him under. You're seeing 6 of his 17 games against those teams. I think the Patriots' run defense is going to be improved. I think that the Dolphins' run defense is going to be improved. Honestly, I know everybody talks about the secondary, but I think having that kind of pass rush, teams are going to try to run the ball against them. But I actually think with some upgrades in their front seven, I think they're going to be better. Brandon Jones likely coming back here this season too. He helps them against the run. So again, you got 6 games in that slot. And I understand what you're saying that they did typically use, Rodgers will use his running game. He has done that. But I'm a little concerned about Brees Hall coming off the injury. I'm concerned about some carry splitting in New York. They have other options there. So I'm going to play him slightly under. Let's see if there's another one that maybe you would disagree with me on. I'm going to play Saquon Barkley under. And it's not because I think he's going to miss any time necessarily, but I mean he stayed healthy all of last
mm,
year, and I don't know if that happens again. And we've also seen that when guys come back, and I know he's got great work ethic, but when guys come back after having some kind of a contract dispute, that I don't know. Typically, their numbers, if you go historically, Emmett Smith was one exception to this. Their numbers tend to dip a little bit. It's a bit of a distraction. They're putting a little bit more of the burden on Daniel Jones by the way that they're paying him. They have made some upgrades at the receiver position, which maybe in they run the ball a little bit less. I'm gonna go under on Barkley on the 10-25. Would you play him over?
I'm a little bit unsure because last year he had over 1,300 yards, but he had almost 300 carries. So
Mhm,
I agree with you. I think that number might be down. And then you have the Daniel Jones rushing quotient as well,
mhm.
which is interesting. I mean, they have him at 575 yards. So how much, more or less is he going to run the ball? And like you said, what other backs might be in the mix? Are they going to throw the ball more? I like Eckler actually,
Mhm.
825.
I
I
would
think that's a pretty low number.
I think that's fair. If we're looking at that board right there, let's go through the rest of them real quick. Josh Jacobs 1099.5 over under.
Over.
Yeah, I would play it over. That's one of the ones I would play over. You say you like Eckler over.
I like Eckler over.
Uh, See, I don't know how to play Stevenson in New England.
Everything New England is under.
I agree. Well, also because he always changes which back he's going to use.
You just never
Uh,
know. You just never count on who's going to get the lion's share. It's like
yeah,
a
so
game. You have to play them in the second half of a game or something.
yeah, no, I mean, year to year, they always have a different back, and he considers them more disposable than anybody else. I would play him under. Mixon at 850.5. Would you play him over or under?
I think he's due for maybe a little bit of a decline,
Mhm.
but I still think he's over 850.
The quarterback numbers here, these are fun. This line.
Yeah, this is interesting here.
All right, let's just hold it there. We've got 8 of them. We'll go quick. Jalen Hurts 725.5.
Interesting.
Over.
Well, last year he had 165 carries for 760. So they're having him a little bit less.
Well, but also missed. Remember, what was it 3 games end of the year because of the shoulder situation?
He had 15 games last year,
Okay, so he
regular
missed two.
season.
He missed two, which is it's reasonable to project 15 for quarterbacks.
That's I kind of just say 15. You
Yeah.
feel like there's always an odd game missed here and there. I like him under. I'm gonna take him under.
Okay.
I think he's gonna have a dynamic year throwing the football. I would take him under. He was only at 760 last year. They have him down a little bit. Maybe he gets around 680, 700.
They changed his backfield a little bit too. Josh Allen, 575.5.
Uh,
I'm gonna play it under.
yeah, I agree with that.
I'm
These
gonna play it under.
quarterback numbers are really tricky.
Lamar Jackson, 750.5.
Under.
He got paid. He got paid. They're he got paid already. So at this point, he may risk his body a little bit more.
Mhm.
I think it's too close. I wouldn't play it. Daniel Jones, I'm playing under. You
Yeah,
mentioned it
that's
earlier.
a high total.
575.5. I'm playing that under.
Yeah.
Justin Fields, 825.5. I am going under. And I'm going under because I just don't believe they have faith in him. And so my concern is that he gets, even though he can be so dynamic, he's also inconsistent. And I could see him getting benched for a game or two. That would take away from the numbers. And also, again, with running quarterbacks, one of the issues is they do run more risk of getting hurt. And so I would tend to play their numbers under because they're going to miss time, as say Lamar missed last year. I would play him under. I wouldn't touch the Burrow 199.5.
I like the Burrow 199
You go
actually.
over?
I like
Over?
that over. His carries doubled from
Mhm.
22 to 21. He had 75 carries last year, Joe
Okay.
Burrow. So, yeah, for 200 yards, I mean, he averaged 3.4 yards per carry last year. He had 75 carries for 257 at 3.4. Five
Listen,
rushing touchdowns, Joe Burrow.
and he's further away from the ACL injury at this point too. So
Yeah, I think that's a sneaky over. I really do. I think that's a sneaky over.
I mean, actually, so you play that over and Stevenson under, and you might have your play there.
That might be it.
Mahomes 325.5.
They're just so they just love to throw the football so much.
I know. I don't know that I would play him either way.
I
Uh,
would probably stay away from that. I think it's too close to call.
mhm.
I mean,
And
last year 61 for 350. Yeah, but yeah, he's right around that 60 carry, five
yeah.
yards a carry mark. For he averages 5 yards for his career. He's ran the ball a lot more
Mhm.
over the last 3 years.
Well, they've run some more design stuff for him too, but they run
Mm.
design stuff to get him out and towards the sideline. They don't run a lot of design stuff to get him hurt in the middle of the field.
Yeah, he
Um,
hasn't had fewer than 61 carries over the last 3 years, and his lowest total was 308 in 2020.
Now, the thing about him is, he's going to play. Deshaun Watson. We'll close here with this one, and then we'll look maybe down the board. 399.5.
I just don't care.
Yeah. Okay. There you go. I'm with you on that. All right. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. We'll pick one more here on the board to go for it. Make sure you use the code 5FIVE. My favorite of all of these as we look forward, and again, these are not really in order, but the Miles Sanders 950
Hmm.
and a half seems high to me. I'm sorry. That seems really high. He doesn't
Yeah.
have Philadelphia's infrastructure there. I would play that one under. Dobbins hasn't been able to stay healthy, 825 and a half. I might play that one under. And I mentioned this to you before. I told you I like Aaron Jones over 799 and a half, but you would be concerned about the carry split with Dylan.
Always with those, when there's two solid backs that get close to, 50-50, 60-40 split, it's interesting. That seems to be the way the league is leaning. But, my underdog here is Kenneth Walker.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
he's
my
like
favorite.
a top 10, top 12 back last year,
Mhm.
and nobody really talks about him. I think at 950, I think he could be around 1050, 1100 yards this year. He
I
got
would,
one.
if I had a choice of him or Etienne 75 yards higher, I would take Walker. I play Walker.
I agree.
Etienne's also had trouble staying healthy, and he's smaller than Walker, which would be my concern. All right, play all of this at PrizePicks. Use the code 5. We've given you a lot to chew on here. Again, my general philosophy is on the futures. Play Bijan Robinson over is a free square. It's over 1,000 yards, Alfredo. Was he Alfredo? 1,025, I think.
1099
Woo.
Atlanta.
Yeah, I mean, I
That's
understand the
interesting. It depends how
reasoning.
much they're losing by, but yeah.
Right. That would be the only question. All right, we'll do more of these shows as we go forward. But again, use that code 5FIVE, get that initial deposit match for $100. And look, you can take one of these and pair it with something else. The thing about futures, of course, is you're not going to get paid until the end of the season. Alfredo is telling you to play it. So it's just fun things to follow for the entire year. Again, as the preseason game starts, we'll start to do the dailies on these as well. Have a good day, everybody.